asking, I'm trying to get it out. What about this girl from Tassie?
Right, now, so we've got Max in the house who's going to speak a little about football. We've got Phoebe in the house who is just the... she's certainly not a gossip columnist. She is a social media columnist. And we have already spoken to the doc, or we should mention that. He's been called to the top office up in who's he work for? 2GB, does he? No? We should know that, shouldn't we? Who's the doc work for, Phoebe?
So,
2GB. He mentioned it a few times.
Did he?
Yes.
Oh, he's been called to the top office there. Russell Tate. Did he say Russell Tate? I know Russell Tate.
Russell Tate used to be...
I know, but I know Russell Tate.
So
he's been called up to the top office. We're not sure if he'll ever be on again, but we're just... so what we're going to do now, Don and everyone, Phoebe, unless you have any... I'd like to mention just this, because... This is and now there's a man, this is a shout out, Don. There's a man called Dean. Dean's just asked us very kindly, did we want to go to the Grand Prix? Incidentally, the Grand Prix season has started over in Bahrain and nothing has changed. It was an uneventful, boring race where no one raced anyone except the bottom 10 cars. The top 10 cars just went round following each other. Surely you think they might have adjusted the way that works. But anyhow, it's all sold out in Albert Park.
Adjusted what?
Adjusted make it a competition. You can jig up you contrive a competition just for the sake of it.
I've heard about the Grand Prix. Sorry to cut you off, but I heard about the Grand Prix this morning that people walking their dogs around the Albert Park Lake, their dogs are being bitten by snakes. And the snakes apparently are coming to Albert Park.
For the Grand Prix?
For the Grand Prix in the tubing that makes up the stands. So they store all the scaffolding on a farm or on a property, and the snakes get into the tubing.
Hibernate.
And they bring the whole lot down, construct whatever it is, the stands, but these snakes are getting out. And people who walk their dogs around the lake, they're being bitten by the snakes.
What an extraordinarily good point, Don. Where'd you get that from? Was it in the news?
From this morning. That's a local telling me a few things about what's going on.
Coffee with?
Biting the dogs. Well, everything's not that bad then.
What do you mean?
No, it's a joke.
But just on your point about the F1, has it not always been lopsided? The better car, not.
I'll tell you what offset the fact that it was always lopsided was the noise they made. It was that was the great appeal. The noise, and do you know this, that they've stopped, the jet, the F-111.
Yeah, you said this last week.
I know, this is the noise, the factor that excites people, the adrenaline. They've stopped the jet flying over because it's warlike, and people that woke are saying, oh no, we don't want to promote war machines. And that's like the grid girls not standing there earning $750 a day because you look good. But you're not allowed to look good today, Don, because you get penalised for that because you can be fat-shamed or thin-shamed or blonde-shamed
Sam,
or race-shamed.
do you know what? I'm going to just butt in here. There's a lot of people who I believe have no issue whatsoever with grid girls being involved in whether it's V8 motor racing or whether it's Grand Prix racing or whether it's motorbike racing.
Yeah, it's only a minority. It's this vocal minority.
It's ridiculous.
The whole thing.
This is my point.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just think it's completely ridiculous.
The AFL, the fans were surveyed about, I should just show you that I was going to show, the fans were surveyed about what they don't like about the AFL or what they do like, and they said the woke nonsense the AFL carry on with is driving people mad, but they are doubling down on it, the AFL, because it is feigned indignation at trying to
even the state government is saying to organisations, you've got to have, committees, equal amount of female to male, otherwise you don't get funding.
When you say they're doubling down, where?
Where
are they doubling down?
Hang on, I'll just tell you this, Max. Go ahead.
Are we into shout-outs?
Yes, go
because
ahead.
I'd like to give a shout-out to a man who runs around, I think it's Jerusalem, and there's rockets going off and whatever else. He's from Melbourne,
Jesus.
Michael Goldsmith. He's a football nutter. He knows a lot about it. He's very interested.
Not Fred's son, is it?
No, not Fred Goldsmith. He played for South Melbourne in the 50s and won a Brownlow medal. But this man's name is Michael Goldsmith. And he runs every day around Jerusalem. I just hope he makes it some days.
He runs around Jerusalem every day.
Yes. And also I gave a shout out, and I'm going to encourage this man. His name's Luke. He got in contact with me because of the BeFit food. He lost 2.5 kilos. He's up to 4.5 kilo loss by eating BeFit food in 2 weeks. That's half a stone.
In 2 weeks?
In 2 weeks, he's been on the BeFit food and he's lost 4.5 kilos.
This is, to your point, Max, this is the Daily Mail, a reputable publication that is, I presume.
Date on it?
The Daily Mail, what? A date on it?
Yep.
Well, shit.
Just so you can't bring up something from 2 years ago?
Well, here we are. Oh, it has got a date in it. 5th of March 2023. Right?
Okay.
There it is there.
Very recent.
Footy fans slam the AFL for focusing on a woke agenda more than the game. Have we not been saying this for years? But the league insists it is a place of inclusion and belonging, as calls for a pride round and a clamp down on racism grow louder. What could you...
I thought we already had a pride round. I don't see what they're doubling up on.
They're saying they're doubling down on having a pride round and doubling down on the fact that...
so they're holding their stance.
And saying we should be no racism. Well, why would you have to say that? Who thinks... It's just stop beating people around the head with your own inadequacy because you are a social elite. You're apologising for your whiteness. All you're doing is dividing the community, and as soon as they get rid of the bozos at the top, who are just nothing more than big, fat, stuffed teddy bears who are just trying to give themselves a presence on the wider stage, the better.
He's scheduled to go out at the start of this year. He keeps getting pushed back though.
And I only keep saying it because we have a first-hand experience of their bullshit about what happened to us.
Now, can I ask you city dwellers something? Driving up, I only come up once a week, scooters. What is the rule on scooters? Because I saw 2 young girls on the road riding scooters. Do you have to have a licence? Do you have to be over a certain age? Is there a speed limit?
Were there those
what
green
is
ones?
the go with scooters?
So was it those green and white ones, or like just
I don't know. There were just
scooters?
2 ladies riding, I suppose it's a bike lane, on the left-hand side of the road on scooters. Now, are you allowed to ride them on footpaths? But I don't know. What are the rules, please,
Max
people?
is asking a fair question. I think it depends what type of scooter.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
There's
Is it a Vespa
common
or is
rental
it-
one, which
yeah.
is called a line bike. They've got all the scooters and bikes around Melbourne. You can't ride them in certain places. I wouldn't say you're supposed to ride them on footpaths because they're electric and they can pick up quite a bit of speed depending on the type of person that's on it.
At this stage, you can ride them anywhere.
But yes,
You can't
people do
ride them through the
everywhere.
tunnel. You can't ride them on a freeway. You can ride them anywhere.
Is there an age on this? Do you have to have a licence? What's the go?
No.
Same reason you don't have to have a license when you ride a bike.
But if
It's
you're
just common.
And if you're on one of those scooters, like the Lime scooters that you're talking about, you need to be wearing helmets. And
They
not
were
many
wearing
people do wear
helmets.
helmets. It's unbelievable to see how many people are scooting around without them.
As soon as it was introduced, people found a loophole in order to... Because sometimes they won't start unless you remove the helmet, and all they do is just remove it, and they wait for it to start, and they just put it back on. It's, yeah... They pick up some speed though.
Very good point, Don. I was just on the Grand Prix, and this was a shout out to Dean, who said if you're going to the Grand Prix, he said, would you like, Don and Phoebe and Max, would you like to go down? And he would take us for a tour over the Tickford Garage, the Tickford Castrol Mustang Garage. Number 55 is the car, and if you want to go down and have a look at the V8s and the Mustangs and the
Prior to the Grand Prix?
No, they race during the Grand Prix day.
No, sorry. The invitation is prior to the Grand Prix?
No, the invitation
I would like to go prior to the Grand Prix. I wouldn't go to the Grand Prix, but I'd like to be...
Well, what do you think the Mustangs... Do you think the V8s are racing when the Grand Prix is not on?
I think Don doesn't want
No,
the crowd.
prior to the warm-up. Thank you, Max.
Is that it? You don't want to be with...
I don't want to go on Grand Prix day.
Yeah.
Oh, no, well, they're there
people.
4 days. They're like everyone. They're there for the 4 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. So that's a shout out to Dean who listens, and then we're very grateful for that invitation.
I am too. Yeah,
hey?
I am.
Well,
Sam,
we might go down. Yes, Phoebe.
I am putting my hand up to go on that
Hang
tour
on,
with
you're
you.
not invited.
I am invited.
What?
How
it's
dare you
International
exclude
Women's
me?
Day, Don. She's invited.
Gotcha,
woman-
you're pushy.
I like motor cars.
Oh,
Many years ago, Sam,
I'll take you for a ride in the Lambo.
in the Lambo. I'm
after
waiting
this.
for that. That'll be good.
Well, I'll do it.
No,
as soon
but
as
for
we
the
finish.
famous
Let's do it
pickup
today.
line.
No, I can't wait. That'll be fun. Many years ago, you would not remember this, Sam. Many years ago, when this is back when I was writing TV for the Herald Sun, I remember we were flown. Or where did we go? Channel 9 took us somewhere like up to the country to see you driving.
Up to Winton.
It would have been at Winton, I think. Yes, and
Yep.
we were journos. We were taken on a day trip to go and see Sam.
Might have been down to Phillip Island.
No, it wasn't Phillip Island.
No,
It was
Winton.
So where did you
Would have been
race? You
Winton.
both
Everywhere in Australia.
Well,
Every
tell me.
racetrack in Australia.
Really?
You raced at Albert Park.
Yeah, I raced in Delvin Park several times. I drove
So
a
did you have a
Ferrari
crew?
once and
Did
a
you have-
Lamborghini? What?
What,
No,
the crew?
He raced for a team.
Yeah, no, not...
Wasn't for a team, was it?
Yeah, it was.
What, you had the big semi-trailer with all the cars
Well,
in?
they did.
What do you mean you raced for?
Don, how don't you know this?
I-
Thought it was
I'm
your
not
personal-
into-
not
I'm
your
not
personal
into
car, I thought it was
cars.
a car from your collection.
Sam,
No,
Sam,
no,
please.
Team.
Yeah, no, it was a team.
What type of car did you
please,
drive?
please
A
tell Don.
Lamborghini and a Ferrari 360 Modena.
And Sam, please tell Don that you ended up on a podium.
Really?
I'll show you a picture.
You won a race?
No,
Listen.
I ended a podium. I came third to the great Peter Brock and a bloke who drove a Monaro and a bloke called Darcy Russell who drove a Dodge Viper. And I came third driving a Lamborghini. And I've got a photograph, which I'll show you in a minute, if you could be bothered, of me standing on the podium at Albert Park next to the great late Peter Brock.
Really?
Anyhow, so...
Oh, that's fair. You must have been all right.
Dean, you might have bitten off more than you can chew, Dean. We've called his bluff.
Who?
Dean, who sent us, said, would you like to come and look at the
Mustang.
Castrol Mustang, which we might go down and have a look at, number 55.
I went in a car last week. The fellow did what do they call it, a drift or a side? What's
Yes,
that?
Drifting.
Holy shit. Did I pack?
Have
Have you ever done that? Have you ever?
Drifting? No, I've
Or
done not in my car. I
Wow.
wouldn't do drifting. I'd do it in someone else's car. And Michael Christian Menswear. Can I tell you what Michael Christian Menswear is doing, Phoebe? He's bringing out a designer collection of the caps. He's putting number 17 on the side of it and 23, if you say that's all right. You know how Donald Trump has 45 on the side of his red caps, you know, the greatest president of all time.
No, I didn't know that, but you're telling me something.
Don-
Why would he put 45?
Well, because he was the 45th,
45th
president.
president.
Oh, I see.
And if you have a look at what's going on over there now, they can't wait for him to get back because he's the best ever. Mick thought he might put 17 and 23 on the side of our caps and have a collector's item, limited collector's item, and send them over, and you would sign them and I'd sign them, and then he'd
okay.
sell them because they're going gangbusters, the caps, Phoebe.
Well,
And-
you love the T-shirt.
and the
You've never had that
T-shirts,
one off
you
yet.
cannot be serious. Would you like a you cannot be serious
Oh,
T-shirt?
yes, I need the full range of merch, please.
Well, you've got a red top on. I think it'd go well with what you've got on.
So he's bringing
wear it
that
next
out, and so stand by, everyone.
Hang on. The range includes aprons.
Aprons.
I've seen a "You Can't Be Serious" apron
Yes,
in red.
yeah.
I've seen the
Ching
cap.
wears one.
Yeah, Ching.
Ching, yep.
Ching.
Yeah, Ching, her name is.
Yeah, it is. We'll go there for lunch.
Yeah.
So hang on. I've got to get onto the range.
Bucket
We've got
hat.
bucket hats.
Golf
I'll
caps.
Google. Oh, golf.
You know, the caps.
Yeah, the caps, the T-shirts.
Yeah, and
the aprons.
Yeah.
What else?
He's going to bring out a designer collection with 23 and 17 on the side of them, and you're going to sign them and I'm going to sign them.
Okay.
And proper sign them, not stencil them, and we'll send them back to him and they'll go for a premium, Don. They'll be just Father's Day or Christmas, and they're taking everywhere by storm.
Really?
So that's a shout
They're
out.
over in Israel. I got a photograph from over there.
Don, there's more countries in the world than Israel.
No, well,
Every week
that's the only one
there's
that texts
people
me.
all around the world listen to us.
I get texts
Expat
from
Aussies.
Israel on what do you call
listen to
WhatsApp?
Phoebe. We get stuff. They say, "When's Phoebe on?" And they say, "When's Ben on?" Dr. Ben Fordham, and they're not worried about you and I being on. They just want the other two people that we have on.
They're very professional.
So this is Michael
to
Christian
Phoebe on
Menswear.
3AW.
Dean from
She
Roma.
goes for half an hour on 3. What are you talking about for half
Dean
an hour?
Roma. Dean Roma. Dean Roma from Canterbury wants a shout out. I thought it was Dean from Roma. Isn't Roma a town?
Yeah, we were going to go. We can go to Roma. Do you want to go to Roma this year?
Roma's a town, isn't it?
Yeah, in Queensland. I said, do you want to go to Roma this year?
With you?
Yes.
No.
Why?
Oh, I couldn't think of anything worse, Don, than spending any amount of time with you on the road.
But you could travel with you could get a caravan and your four-wheel drive.
I'll tell you what I'll do.
Follow me.
I'll get in the back with the fucking horses.
What type of horses are they? Fucking horses.
Well, and those horses, I'll get in the back with them. They'd appreciate me patting their noses and giving them carrots.
You better watch them. They're fucking horses. You better watch them.
And mucking out with them, as opposed to you who say, you shout at them and bloody spit at them. At least though I would have a friend. Dean Roma is the boy's name.
From Roma.
From Canterbury.
Oh, Canterbury.
And also John Payne from Malvern. Is a shout out, and Julie King from Traralgon.
Where?
Traralgon.
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 Yeah, I think you call that Traralgon.
Traralgon. Oh, well, Traralgon.
No, if you went to Geelong College or Grammar, you call it Traralgon.
That's what
but
I
if you
said.
went to Blackburn High School, it's just Traralgon.
What is it, Don?
Traralgon.
For a man who's dyslexic, I wouldn't be telling people how to speak. So anyhow, they're the shout-outs. Now,
Where do you get these shout-outs?
Well, this is Michael Christian Menswear.
Oh,
He's got a
they all
designer
come
collection
through him.
of caps coming out. Now, Phoebe, I met this man. I was over at Legy Auto Body Repairs.
Is this the man you had a blue with?
What? No,
Legy. Did you have a blue with Legy?
No, Legy is LA Smash Repairs or Auto Body Repairs.
Yeah, but you had a blue with him.
Cromwell. I did nothing of the sort. What?
Sort.
Yes, Sam, please tell
I
me.
didn't have in Cromwell Street in Collingwood, and I walked up to get a coffee, and a bloke bounced out. There was a little gang, he was behind a stairwell. This very charming woman made me a coffee, and there's this bloke there called Daniel, and he shouted out at me. He's a graphic designer, and he said, "I like the podcast." I said, "I'll give you a shout out." He said, "No, you don't have to," and I said, "Well, I'm going to." And he's Daniel, and a graphic designer, and he was in this little, it was like in a broom cupboard where she made coffee, but it was very good coffee.
A little pop-up, was it?
No, it wasn't a pop-up. She was under a stairwell making
coffee.
coffee.
I think you call those pop-ups, don't you?
No,
pop-ups are
is
a place
temporary.
Oh, okay.
Up for 2 or 3 days and then disappear.
And another man, Percy, from down the coast. I don't know if it's but he took exception to you calling him last week. Do you remember I said Percy, who I think you might have played football against? I said he was a great surfer. He was on the beach at Torquay. He was there in his Speedos. He was all oiled up. He was waiting for the big waves to come in because he's an avid surfer. And someone walked up to him and said, "I hear Don called you the exact words, a casual moron." Did you call Percy a casual moron last week? Because he took exception to that.
Oh, did he?
I said, I didn't.
Does he want an apology?
Well, why don't you give him, just in case you call him a casual moron?
Peter.
No, Percy it is. Is it Peter? We talking about the same person?
Well,
go on, Peter, yeah. Go on, say it.
I sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, apologise. What do I refer to him as?
A casual moron.
That means occasionally he's a moron.
Anyhow,
I apologise profusely, and I'm very, very sorry because he's an intellect.
And
he's got a great sense of humour.
Very fit.
And I'd love to see him in a pair of Speedos.
He runs up and down the beach. If you go to Torquay, you can see him running up and down the beach to keep fit. And then he plunges into the water and he strikes out through the breakers.
Does
and he swims out about half a mile and body surfs in.
His teammate from Blairgowrie, Mark McClure, looks terrific in a pair of Speedos too, they tell me, on the Blairgowrie beach.
Yep, they look
so
like a
those
couple of
Carlton boys
seals.
are really well cut, aren't they?
Have you been onto the beach this summer, Phoebe?
No, I haven't, Sam. I'm not a beach person. I've got.
You live by the beach.
You get into a cosy.
Altona, you'd be frequenting Altona, wouldn't you?
I am not. No, I do not get into a bikini. No. I'm not really a beach person. No, I don't. And also, I'm not really as. I have the sort of skin that just burns like crazy, so I'm very careful with the sun. I'm really super careful about the sun. I am.
Now, Max, if I could just jump, is there any other football? Well, you haven't given us any football news. You came in here ostensibly to speak about football.
But you haven't given him the opportunity.
Well, I'm just Don. Did you hear me? I said, Max, go ahead. Football news.
It's starting on Thursday.
We know that.
Thursday what?
I think.
Hang on, I'm interested. When's it starting?
Next Thursday,
not tomorrow,
16th.
Don.
Hey, rugby league's got the jump on them, haven't they?
Yes,
rugby
they always
leagues,
start a week early.
And the other thing, I meant to ask Ben Fordham, can anybody tell me about the Dolphins? They won their first game. They're in the rugby league.
This first season.
Yeah. And where?
Don will be across.
What are they called? Dolphins. Where are they from?
The ocean. He'd be right across the Dolphins, Ben. God, yeah, that'd be.
He's a New South Wales Welsh. That's their code.
He wouldn't. That's rugby union, isn't it?
No, it's league. They played league last week. The Dolphins, their first game, they won.
Yes.
Tell me this, and this is to your point, Don. I watched the Storm play last week, and they won in extra time. A fantastic game.
They've won every game, haven't they? First in the season games for so many years.
Do you know what drove me mad? Why is this allowed to happen? The subliminal advertising that they superimpose on the ground. They had I think it was Hyundai, and then Telstra. They superimpose the images across the ground. When you're at the ground, they're not on there, but they superimpose them on, and you can't even see the players. They run into these superimposed pictures of Hyundais, and then they run out of that into the Telstra superimposed pattern on the ground. It is so confusing. Why are they allowed to do that? They just infuriate the people watching. No. And don't say it's about money, because of course it's about money. You don't tell me the people won't sponsor the game unless they can have their superimposed image put on the ground. Phoebe, are you telling me that?
Well, I'm just wondering if
there's
complaints. I wonder if they've had complaints about this, because
that's how much I took notice. It was actually Kia. Kia had a big picture of a Kia SUV, and it was so annoying that every time the ball went into the area, it disappeared into the Kia's boot and an engine and wheels. It was pathetic.
Okay, well, the first thing, you are correct. It's all about money. So tick that box. That's the answer to that. And secondly, I actually might make a couple of calls on that and find out if they've had any complaints, because the way to get it changed, make a complaint. Use your voice, Sam.
It was an actual car, though. It wasn't just...
Wasn't a car. They superimposed the image of a car.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, what do you mean it was an actual car?
No, I mean, like, it wasn't an advertisement for a car. It was
an
advertisement.
Well, you mean advertisement, Max?
Advertisement, yep. But what I'm saying is, though, they put a 3D superimposed image on the ground. They didn't have it. It wasn't 2D?
It wasn't 2D. Just when you watch it, all you can see is the car and the Telstra ad up one end and the Kia ad down the other. And when the play goes into it, it's just so confusing. It's ridiculous.
They don't have the right technology for it, because I know that they do that in the NBA and it's seamless. Like when players run across it, it looks like it's not even it looks like it's on the court. It's not.
Well, of course it looks like it's on the court. This looks like it's on the ground. But if you're at the ground, it's not there. But on the television, they superimpose it.
But if people go past it or the ball goes into that area, it just glides over it. You can still see everything. That was your point, is that it disappears. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you're not. That's exactly what I'm saying. That it's annoying when it goes into that area.
Well, probably they're not as proficient as what they are in America in TV production and superimposing the image subtly.
We'd be ahead of America.
We would not technically.
Shut up.
What?
Technically,
filming sport.
Yes.
Why would Australia be worse than America in filming sport?
Because they've got a lot more money in their sports. A lot more.
If money doesn't buy you intelligence, Max.
No, it buys you technology, though. Greater advancement in technology.
Don't
be silly. That's
so here's the state of things. This is how we're being railroaded, Phoebe. The Powerlifting Association in America is now allowing trans men to compete as women because a man who transgendered into being a woman sued the sport for not being allowed to compete because she's transed into a woman. If you saw her, she was built like a small delivery van, and she just took the buttered confection lock, stock and barrel by pressing the small delivery van above her head, and she sued the sport saying that she's now signaling as a woman and she wants to compete. And they have relented because she sued them. Where's that? You cannot believe people just fold under the pressure of that nonsense.
They'll straighten it all out. It's a fad at the moment.
Well,
they will bring in XYZ chromosomes and whatever else to compete in this particular
Phoebe,
event.
please. You're a woman on International Women's Day.
Sam, I'm going to... Poor Max. Max is here to talk about sport. Let's talk about sport.
Well, that's sport. Go on.
Max, let's talk about footy.
All right.
Yeah.
So you're not getting involved in that? No, it's very,
We'll
very
talk about football for 30 seconds, Phoebe, and then he'll bring us on to another subject. It's good.
Max, I tell you what I want you to do now. I want you
me to call?
I want you to ring.
Yeah, I'll call Ricky again. Go on.
Now we're going to see if Nixon's going to answer.
We'll give football another crack in 10 minutes, Phoebe. Just hang on.
So here we go.
You ready?
Here we go. Am I ready? Oh, well, we need the headphones.
Yes, you will.
Good morning.
Holy shit, he's answered the phone. Ricky, and you're on the podcast with Don and Phoebe and Max, my son's here, and I don't know, where are you?
I'm actually in Mount Gambier in South Australia at the moment.
Well, in the spirit of fairness, Ricky, what we always like to do, we read, or it was brought to our attention that you didn't appear in court and you lost your licence because you didn't appear in court about some charge, and we thought we'd get your side of the story before people malign you unfairly.
Yes, well, Sam, first of all, I didn't know anything about this until last night when James Bond texted me saying, we can't drive anymore. I said, what are you talking about? It was the first I knew about it, only to find out last night that in Australia there's a new law that chickens can't cross the road. It's offensive, it's racist, and equality-wise, ducks aren't happy.
You idiot. Now, Ricky.
Chicken goes bang.
Your chicken goes bang. So when you say you knew nothing about it, so you didn't know that you were required to be in court. How would that be? Did they make it up, the coppers?
No, the court contacted me 20 minutes ago and has asked for a period of time to sort this out. They contacted me 2 weeks ago about this appearance I knew nothing about. I told them that I wanted it adjourned and they said you can only do that for health reasons. I said, well, I don't have any bigger health reasons than I'm conducting health checks and COVID vaccinations in South Australia all that week.
I
can't cancel them.
To be clear, Ricky, they told you 2 weeks ago that you were meant to be in court, and you told them you couldn't appear, and they didn't adjourn it. Is that what you're saying?
Well, they didn't. They said leave it with us. We'll contact you, and they didn't contact me again. And to be honest, I didn't even remember about it. I contacted them last night. I was deferred to the Geelong Magistrates court who said the Colac court isn't open on Tuesday. I said, well, that's very helpful. I was told to explain it in an email. I did, and in fairness to the Colac Magistrate Court, they've contacted me this morning and asked for some time to sort this out this morning.
Here's your very good friend Don Scott who wants to ask you.
You've got a logistical problem, Ricky, because how are you going to get your vehicle back from Mount Gambier?
Well, first of all, Don, can I ask you a question, and everybody sitting around the table, have you ever lost a demerit point?
Have I lost a demerit point? My word, I've lost my licence.
Yeah, so once again, this has been misreported because I've been told last night you haven't lost your license, or you have. You've got an option. You've lost your licence on demerit points if found guilty. Well, this will be now appealed or reheard. And secondly, you've got the option of taking that 12 months, whatever it is, where you can't lose 1 point, etc. So to say I've lost my licence is totally and factually incorrect, but that's pretty standard for media today.
Hey, Ricky, I'm just going to... Hello,
Here's
it's
your
Fiona
other
here.
very good friend, Fiona Byrne.
Hello, Vicky, how are you?
I'm great, Ricky. Now, I'm just going to read from the news report just so we can just clarify exactly what we're talking about. So the report says that you have been stripped of your licence for 3 months after you failed to appear in the Colac Magistrates Court on Monday on one charge of exceeding the speed limit after being clocked doing 97 kilometres an hour in an 80 zone in the state's west. The magistrate opted to deal with the matter in Nixon's absence, saying he had been given ample warning about the hearing date, having been issued with a summons in August last year. And the magistrate said, and the quote is, "I'm satisfied he is aware of today's date." I'm wondering if you were aware of the date, were you given the option of being able to attend via a video link? That's the first question. And the second question is, are you going to challenge this decision?
Number one, factually incorrect. I wasn't issued with a summons with a date for court. I may have been issued with a summons, but definitely not a court date. I was told about this only 2 weeks ago, and I would say anyone in the major business that travels around Australia can't just click their fingers in 2 weeks and cancel all your bookings just to appear in a Colac Magistrates Court. I gave them the option of a video link. They said they don't do video links in country magistrate courts or something like that.
I think he's trumped you, Phoebe. I think he's answered that.
Are you going to appeal it? Are you going to make a complaint?
In my opinion, I don't need to appeal it. It needs to be reheard. And
are you going to keep driving?
Well, I haven't lost my licence because the laws are, this is where it's been misreported, I have not lost my licence for 3 months. You have the option to keep your licence if you take up the 12-month 1 point demerit situation. So, and you get given a date to notify Vic Roads of whether you want to take up that option or not. So to say I've lost my licence is misreporting and total fabrication to that standard.
You've been fined $500. Are you going to pay the fine?
Yeah, I've got coins here to give them. So once again, if it's reheard and I'm found not guilty, well, I'm not paying them, am I?
So you keep on saying reheard. Do you want to challenge this finding?
I sure do.
Are you going to?
Yes. We're going to find out, first of all, if the camera had been calibrated that they tested me on. We're going to cross-examine the witness who's made the complaint, and we will continue to do that.
Do you think people are out to get you? Because you do seem to have quite a few dealings with police. Do you think that you're being unfairly targeted?
I'm not going to comment on that. There's a current investigation going on about police conduct, and until that's finished, I'm not going to comment.
I think it's one set to Ricky new balls.
Hang on. There's investigation into what? Police conduct.
Correct.
Who by?
Well, this is where it's interesting. If you lay a complaint about police conduct, you have to investigate it.
The police.
Correct.
So you want an impartial...
But hang on. Are they investigating this case over police conduct?
No, it's over another matter.
Another matter?
And
what another matter? What's the other matter?
It involves an assault on my partner, Melissa.
Oh.
But what's that got to do with the...
And Australia Post are responsible for it, and they're going to be held to it.
Oh, but what's that got to do with driving at 97 Ks?
It's not that much over.
Fiona asked me the question about whether, or you, Sam, proposed that our police got it into me. Look, I've spoken to police. I'm happy with some of the ways they conducted. They don't have anything in for me, but as I just said, the truth is the truth, and the truth will come out.
I think you've answered these questions very well, Ricky, and I think Fiona and Don are completely off the mark. 97 and an 80 thing, that's hardly over the speed limit, is it? 97?
It was also in a small town, the length of about 80 metres, where they went from 100 kilometres to 80, and then 100 metres later went back to 100.
Oh, how ridiculous is
100,
that?
gee, it's a small town. 100, what did you say, 100 metres wide, the town?
No, they do that, Don. You drive in. They drive in at 100 and they say 80, and sometimes it goes to 60, and within 100 yards it goes back up again. And if you're not really Phoebe, I think he's belted us all.
Sam, come on,
cocked hat, hasn't he?
We all should be obeying where we can the road rules.
Where we can, yeah, but sometimes they're ridiculous.
No, you should be able to drive as fast as you can as long as you're safe.
Explain this to me, Fiona. If you're on a highway and there's no sign of a major town in front of you, you go to pass another car. Just as you do, it changes to 80 kilometres.
Yep.
You slow down straight away, and then 100 metres up the road, it changes back to 100.
Yeah.
You've slowed down.
That's absolutely ridiculous. I understand. I've been...
This town is well known for this and the fact that police sit there all day, every day.
Okay, so are you saying that the police are setting up speed traps for people?
I'm saying that.
You're saying that.
The police.
This is ridiculous. This is just ridiculous.
No,
I actually think people should be safe on the roads, and I think that
he might be onto something.
The speed limits are there for a reason.
Yeah, but I think he might be onto something. We're getting trapped.
Don't just do speed traps.
Why is every 20 kilometres on every highway in Victoria at the moment got speed cameras hidden in cars that look like normal passenger cars? I'll tell you why. It's all about fines. It's all about revenue raising. It's all about subsidising the losses caused with these lockdowns over COVID.
I have an easy answer to that. Just drive at the speed limit. Don't drive over it. Then you don't have to contribute to the fines. You don't have to contribute to the revenue raising.
What about the law of overtaking?
Phoebe, I think Ricky is
drive
saying...
safely. Don't be impatient.
Phoebe, I think Ricky is saying, and I might be agreeing with him, that they do set up speed traps in an effort to catch you, certainly going over the speed limit, but if it goes from 100 to 80 and back to 100, and by the time you've worked out what's going on, they do confuse you, and they are covert.
Sam, that's not an excuse.
It is an excuse.
It's ridiculous.
It's a reason.
That's a reason, but it is not an excuse. If there is a mandated speed limit in an area, drive to it.
How much money would you owe the government if for every time you spend in your life, Fiona? I'd be interested in how much you owe the government.
For what?
Well, so say you're driving down a highway and you come to and the car's doing a 95k and you're doing 100k, and you go out to pass it and you can see a car in the distance, you naturally, just to be on the safe side, go up to 105 or 110 to pass it, and then you ease back. If you happen to be sprung at the very minute you're doing 110, that you'd lose 2 points off you and $500 fine, and no one would actually take into account what the circumstance was.
That's a great point. What about if they're not doing the speed limit? What about if they're doing 20 kilometres below the speed limit? Should they be fined then because they're not acknowledging the speed limit?
Anyhow, Ricky, look, it's been great to have you on.
Imagine if they're doing 70 and 100.
So someone's belted Melissa. You've been fined for going over the speed. Any other court cases coming up?
Yes, there's a pretty major one coming up. Apparently I'm to blame for the war against China, but I'm denying that, and I'll leave you there. Goodbye.
Thank you, Ricky Nixon from Mount Gambier. I think he belted you around there, Phoebe.
Sam, you and your ridiculous lead foot.
Well, hey, can I tell you something?
What?
Would you?
Hang on. How's he getting back from Mount Gambier?
Well, his partner will probably drive.
Beg your pardon?
His partner will probably drive home.
Melissa.
Oh. He just told you he can drive.
And they'll be calling in probably to a police station to see how the case against her being assaulted by someone is going, and then they'll just push on.
But he's in South Australia.
Yeah, that's right, he is. Well, she drove him over. He drove over there, and she's going to drive him back. Well, how is that hard to work out, Don? Could I tell you something, Phoebe?
Yes, Sam.
Anyway.
What? How many demerit points do you reckon I've lost in the last 10 years?
None. Not one.
Not one.
Either. Same
Phoebe,
here.
I haven't lost any.
I have lost my licence, but I've slowed down for some reason.
Don, you said you've not lost a demerit point in 10 years.
I did not.
You just did. You actually just did.
Oh, well, fucking moron.
Yeah, but prior to that, I did lose my licence, so I have learned.
Oh, prior to that. So you lost. You were put on that thing that Ricky was saying. You were allowed to lose no points for
That's right, I did that.
And if you drive with you drive around like Mr. Magoo. It's impossible to drive with you because you don't go over 30. So I've not lost a demerit point. As for you saying I've got a lead foot, Phoebe, thank you.
I haven't lost any demerit points either. Touch wood. I'm going to say touch wood.
Touch wood. Okay, so where are we up to? So
Thank you, Max.
Max, have you got any more football beside them relaying the turf at the MCG? Give us something, mate. You've come in here. So anything happening in football?
There's a lot happening in football.
Quickly.
I think it's going to be one of the more exciting seasons. I can only see two teams that aren't going to be competitive each week. I think the margins are going to be close. Scoring is going to be high. I don't know if they're introducing 4 umpires or not. I'm not sure if that's official, Phoebe.
So you've come in here thinking it might be competitive. You've got no idea about the umpires. You've got no news at all. And you're the sport guru on football. You've given us nothing.
I've had literally 80 seconds on the topic.
Go ahead. It's open forum. Tell us.
Well, I'll give you the initial one of everyone's opinions. Who do you think's winning the premiership this year?
This is not. That's nothing to do with football. Don has no idea. Phoebe doesn't even know the season started. I'm not interested. You're the man. Don't ask us. We wanted to know has there been any changes? Has there been any games or what?
No, there hasn't been any games. The season hasn't started.
So you've come in here for nothing.
Yes, pretty much, I suppose. There you go.
There we are. Now we're down.
Can I ask a more? A friend of mine has.
I forget why we don't talk anymore, Dad.
Well, Max,
just realised why.
I give you a chance to talk, and
no, you don't. You talk to me for 30 seconds and
Max,
you switch the topic.
Max, get used to it.
Sam, honestly,
we're going to have
25 years to get used to it. I still can't.
We're going to have a domestic here over the.
Wouldn't be a. No, not going into that.
We're going to have a barbecue after this. Jack's going to cook it.
Speaking about...
He's not here. He's cracked the shits with him too.
Oh, dear.
Speaking about police.
No.
Don.
Oh, what next? Go on.
No, I'm just... this might be in deference to International Women's Day. No, listen. Do you know the police have dropped their standards to accommodate the lack of police enrolling? They've dropped their standard. You used to have to run 1.5 miles in 14 minutes to qualify. That was part of the...
Yeah.
Now they've dropped it. They've dropped it down. You've got to run 1.5 miles in 20 minutes to accommodate those people who are not quite physically strong enough to... they want to recruit police at any level.
Well, at one stage, when we were young boys, you had to be 6 foot or 6'3" to join the police force.
Could you run 1.5 miles, or that's how many kilometres is that?
You know that I don't even run for trams. I would get in my car and drive it.
Well, could you run 1.5 miles in...
Not at the moment.
14 minutes?
Not at the moment.
Well, in 14 minutes?
Are you sure it's 14?
Not at the moment.
14 minutes.
4 kilometres and 14 minutes.
No. 1.5 miles.
That's about 4 kilometres, isn't it?
I don't think so.
Isn't a mile 3.5?
1.5 miles, I think, is 3.3 kilometres. Could you run 3 kilometres in 14 minutes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Piece of cake. We used to that was part of our football 15-minute run.
It's a high demand for people to join the force, though, because no one's doing it.
That's why they're dropping the standard.
Exactly. Well, that makes sense.
Not
a lot of people will agree with it, but if you want to attract more people to do it, why don't you make it
even
easier?
if they're incompetent?
Yeah, well
let's
go in for hours.
That's Andy way to go.
Can I turn the clock back? We've just gone through COVID. A friend of mine has just come down with COVID. And somebody said there are still deaths from COVID. Now, they're not being reported. How many deaths are there at the moment? Does anybody know?
on average per day.
You know the big news, Don.
No, hang on.
No, that's a fair question. But 3?
I don't know. I'm asking because
I'm answering your question.
Oh.
The big news out of the States is that the COVID, the pandemic and the vaccines has been an absolute disgraceful hoax, and it's been a fraud. The vaccine doesn't stop you getting the COVID. It doesn't prevent you giving it to other people. Masks don't work. The
RAP test, this person...
The whole thing has been a hoax.
This person actually tested the RAP test. Friday they felt ill. They RAP test Friday, Saturday, and it showed up on Sunday that they had COVID.
The ridiculous thing of not allowing school kids to go to school is a hoax. You remember when I went and stood on the steps of Parliament House saying, why can't you play golf? And Dan Andrews said, if not playing golf saves one life, then it's worth it. An absolute furphy and bullshit that was. And when you consider that when you go to an ATM and press the thing with your finger, you weren't allowed to hold the sticks, the flag stick in a golf course. You weren't allowed to touch the flag stick, so they didn't have flag sticks in case you transmitted COVID by touching the stick or the rake in the bunkers. And yet you could go to an ATM and put your finger on the pad on there. You could go to, if you're over 18, everyone who drives a motorbike or rides a motorbike, drives a car, drives a truck, has a lawnmower, goes to a service station and holds the petrol nozzle. And we were told that you couldn't touch things because it transmitted it, and yet you were allowed to fill your car up with petrol and use ATM machines. It is an absolute rort, and this government and the federal government and this government should stand condemned for the bullshit and lies they told us about the whole thing. And Novak Djokovic still is not allowed into the States to play tennis because he's unvaccinated, when the government has said that the COVID pandemic is over, and he's still not allowed in. It is an absolute rort.
Wasn't it reported today that our taxpayer money was used through the pandemic to see how popular Dan Andrews was? Through the pandemic, whether his popularity had dropped at all. But fancy using our taxpayer money to do a feasibility...
That was polling. They were just, doing polling of focus groups. And I think that's quite normal.
Well done, Phoebe.
It is.
No, it is. If you ever want to get a consensus about what's going on in the community, don't ask the public. They'd have no idea what's going on. Not long out of the trees, most of the public. They aren't. Now, they're not.
When I was at uni, so this is back, last millennium, uni kids were always being invited to be part of focus groups. Now, you never knew who was paying for the focus group, and you never actually knew what the focus group was until you were in the survey. And this is, I'm going to say, it's back in the 90s, so well before the era of social media and digital engagement, and email, it was back in the dark days. And I used to do those focus groups, and you'd sort of go along and you'd be paid a certain amount of money to be there for a certain number of hours and be asked various questions, and partway through you'd sort of realise what the gist of it was, and you never, as I said, you never knew who was actually paying for it or who the data was for.
So you got paid to fill out a questionnaire?
You never filled anything out. It was done sort of as a round circle. So there'd be perhaps 20 of us in the room,
but you would be getting paid.
It was a cross-section of society, and you'd be paid by the companies running the focus. And I'm not saying this is government at all. I'm just saying this was something that we used to do when we were up at uni, and I think the reason why they were reaching out to people at university to be part of these groups is because they were looking for a cross section of the community. So it'd be ticking the student box. You'd be in those rooms and there'd be people of various different ages, of various different backgrounds, and we went for about, I don't think it was ever any longer than 2 hours, but it was quite interesting to do.
What relevance would the university have in inviting a forum to
No,
speak
it wasn't.
about...
It wasn't
I'm just saying to you, if it's inviting people to speak at a forum on things that they had a different opinion to the university, you wouldn't be allowed to stand. You'd be held down if you went and spoke about, I'd love to go to university and speak about everything we speak about here, and you wouldn't get more than five words
Sam,
out, which...
I just want to say that, no, the university wasn't running these focus groups. It was being run by, obviously, independent companies, but they just happened to be reaching out to people, students who were at university and saying, you know, we're looking for people to be part of these groups. And, you know, my friends and I used to always put our hands up to do it.
Do you agree with this, everyone? James Bond. Do you know this now? The James Bond books have been altered. The words in the books... the film has been colour shaded to make it more inclusive of the colour of the people in the films. They have altered the sex and the language of some of the things that are said to make it not as explicit. In the books Ian Fleming wrote, they're changing the words and the colour shading in some of the films. Can you believe it? Right, you can't believe that. Why would you believe that? That is a fact. Who bends over to this nonsense, Phoebe? Don't answer that because you might lose your job. Now, what else would we like to speak about? That's about it. What about so this is not. I know every government tells
You're
lies.
in a particularly grumpy mood this morning.
Because the amount of shit going on in the world we live in, and no one actually pushes back on it. So I know every government tells lies. Can you get a bigger lie than Anthony Albanese saying there'd be no increase in any tax and then putting a tax on superannuation? That is the greatest dishonest lie ever in the history of the nation, that you can campaign on saying there's no new tax and then bring out a tax on superannuation to
Didn't someone say they were going to build a wall and they never did?
Only because they weren't allowed to. He started to build the wall, and all the infrastructure and the iron and the fencing is there, and when he didn't get re-elected, he started to build the wall, and if he gets back in, he'll go on with it. This is Trump. Yes, my word, he will.
It will not.
Do you think Trump will get back in?
Yeah.
Sam, put it on the record, please. Do you really think?
What do you mean, do I really think? As if it would be an extraordinary happening.
Will he have the backing? Will he have the backing of Sky? Will he have the backing of Sky?
Will he have the backing of Ron DeSantis?
No, Murdoch.
Is it Ron DeSantis?
Will he have the backing of Murdoch?
I don't know, Don, but if the social media companies like Google and Facebook and that don't nobble him like they did the last time by enabling the algorithms not to give him credit for anything he said and banning him off Twitter, if they keep their nose out of it, he might, but they'll use every dishonest tool they will to rot him out of not being re-elected. But there's a hell of a lot of people, almost 75 million of them, who voted for him last year. And if you have it last time, and if you have a look at what's going on in that country at the minute, being run by a dysfunctional, retarded man and a ridiculous woman, they are going nowhere unless someone nobbles the opposition, which they did the last time.
Next topic.
Yes. You got a topic?
Yes, next topic.
Go ahead.
No, what's your next topic?
Oh.
You've got a book of topics here. Let's roll through them.
Can I put a question forward?
Go on.
Absolutely.
Are we in World War III at the moment?
What?
No, very good point, Don. We are. Because the United States of America have given $200 billion.
And Australia and England keep going, and NATO. European countries.
Well, America on their own have given $200 billion to Ukraine, who are not a democracy. Zelensky, whatever his name, has banned Christian priest. they've banned the opposition. They've banned certain press companies, then certain newspaper outfits. They are no more a democracy than Russia is, and it's got nothing to do with Australia, and it's got nothing to do with America, the Ukraine-Russia war. Why we are giving any money to that has got nothing to do with us, and it benefits us not one iota. That's another furphy, another piece of bullshit. Seriously, we feel for the people, but what it's got to do with us is nothing. No, you won't comment.
But why do you say, Don, that we are currently in World War III?
Well, I can't remember Vietnam War, Korean War. Only certain countries participated. They're the only wars that I can remember on a scale like this.
They're not a world war. They were classified
but you have got a lot of countries backing Ukraine. Australia, of America, England, the European countries. It is a world war.
By default, we are giving arms and ammunition, and so is the Americans. They're giving tanks. They're giving all the weapons to fight Russia, and that is classed as a war.
But not
and
soldiers.
That's not soldiers. They are providing ground support to train them how to use the tanks, how to fly the planes. They are not actually taking rifles and confronting people, but they are de facto people on the ground in Ukraine from the United States and the NATO countries, and they are actually in a war with Russia. There is no doubt of that, and when Russia drops a bomb on someone, that will be it. Be nice to see what that insipid clown of a man that runs that country does, because he doesn't run the country. There's people pulling his strings. He is just a puppet. He is a piñata. He is a fool.
I'm glad to see the topics haven't changed in the time I've been away.
Well, because these are the topics that keep going around and around here. Phoebe...
Max and I are going to go and have a coffee while you work through these.
Don, that was actually a very good question. Have you got another one?
Well, he's correct. We are in a de facto war with Russia. Now, Phoebe, what do you
Don,
think?
keep talking.
Why is the... Oh, no, I won't. Why is the woman still on the footpath on the Beaconsfield Parade? Why don't you do something about that?
I thought you were going to do something about that.
She shifted closer to the latrine, so I think it'd be difficult to actually get into a latrine there this morning.
Oh, actually, hang on. Oh, sorry.
Max, I'm going to give you this.
I've got one good question for Phoebe.
Yes, go on, Max.
When does Gil McLachlan resign as the CEO officially?
Well, there was an interesting comment made on 3AW this morning. It was part of Ross Stevens' rumour file, and Ross said that he had been chatting to someone who said that handover won't happen until the deal is done to establish a team and that stadium in Tasmania. So,
which isn't going to happen for years, though, isn't it? Because they need backing to build the state. Because the AFL's not going to interject with the monetary wise. I suppose that's the thing.
If you read between the lines, it would suggest that perhaps Gil's going to stay on for a bit longer than everyone had anticipated.
Ridiculous, and we still have no AFL CEO over to replace Brad Scott. No one wants that job.
Is it a case that people don't want that job, or is it just a job that hasn't been announced?
It's been open for 2.5 months.
Oh, I think we'll find someone to take that job.
Why don't you take it so you can shut up?
I'll tell you who they'll find. Someone who fits
Weren't you going to apply for this job?
Well, seriously, why don't you try and interject all of your opinions in it?
I'll tell you who will get the job. Someone who fits the diversity, the inclusion and the equity scale. It won't be someone... the best person for the job. It'll be someone who fits diversity, equity and inclusion, just to show that we're woke and we're up and about and we're still driving the public mad. We won't have the best person for the job. We'll have the one that ticks the most boxes.
I don't think so. Usually it's... No.
You wait till they start getting behind BLM. Black Lives Matter.
I'm going to ask what you've been doing in Melbourne this week, Sam. There's so much on. I've been at the Fashion Festival. We've got the Grand Prix coming up. What's in your diary? You're making a great fashion statement today. What have you got in your diary? What have you been doing? Have you been on your boat?
Yes, I went down to watch the Avalon Air Show from the boat.
Did you love that?
It was fantastic. Isn't it amazing? The doc mentioned... It was a sellout, the Avalon Air Show. The Grand Prix is a sellout. Harry Styles and Ed Sheeran got over 300,000 between them all for 2 days.
And Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg. Isn't it
Put a hole in the
extraordinary that we are so starved for entertainment and because of our remoteness, but people love coming in here because it is a huge financial bonus for them?
Look, people are wanting to be in. They want to be entertained. People are happy to go to events now, and it's fantastic. I was chatting to people last night about the Grand Prix, and the hotels in Melbourne are booked out for that weekend already, and these are, the top quality hotels. So there's an enormous amount of money coming into the city.
Remind me on the official date of the Melbourne Grand Prix.
End of March, start of April. Now,
yes.
Thank you.
We've been doing this for an hour. Usually we split this up, Don, but this will probably have 2 segments today. One was the doc and the other was ours, because we're all knackered, aren't we?
Do you have a third coming in? No.
I just said that, Max, unless you could actually rack that small brain of yours and give us some more football news, or even some football news.
Don't question my brain, it was passed down from you. Don't start.
Half of it, or 75% of it, I'm only responsible for about 15% of it, I've got a feeling. Now, Max, if you've got any final football news...
Hang on, 15% of 75.
Shut up.
Where's the extra 10% gone?